Good morning. So, our topic is factors affecting vapor pressure of a pure liquid. Okay. It is factors affecting vapor pressure of a pure liquid. In last class, okay, we were discussing vapor pressure of a pure liquid. Okay, now it is factors which affects vapor pressure of a pure liquid. So first factor is nature of the liquid. Nature of the liquid. Okay. How nature of the liquid affects vapor pressure? Okay. Say if the liquid, okay, if the particles of liquid, okay, have say weak intermolecular forces, then if particles of molecules, okay, or particles of the liquids have weak intermolecular forces of attraction, okay, forces of attraction, it means very easily, okay, very easily particles will get separated, okay, and if very easily particles will get separated, means we will say readily liquid will evaporate, and if readily liquid will evaporate, means more vapor will be formed, okay. So we can say if more vapor okay is formed, means vapor pressure will be more. Getting this? I told you factors affecting vapor pressure of a pure liquid, and first factor is nature of the liquid. Means if liquid, okay, or particles of liquid, okay, have weak intermolecular forces of attraction, means readily liquid will evaporate, okay, and if it will evaporate readily, means more vapor will be formed at low temperature, okay, and if more vapor will be formed, means more vapor pressure will be formed, so vapor pressure will be also more, okay. And on the other hand, we can say if it is strong intermolecular forces of attraction between particles or molecules of the liquid, then they will not readily evaporate, means less evaporation will take place, means less vapor will be formed, means less vapor pressure will be there. Getting this? So vapor pressure of pure liquid depends upon nature of the liquid. Okay, I am explaining it with a graph. Okay, in this axis it is vapor pressure, okay, and this axis is showing temperature. So it is graph between vapor pressure versus temperature. Okay, and first one is it is graph of dimethyl ether. Dimethyl ether. Okay, second one is okay, first one is dimethyl ether, second one is acetone, third one is ethyl alcohol, fourth one is water. Getting this? It is a graph, okay, between vapor pressure and temperature. Okay, and in this graph we have taken four liquids. Okay, first liquid here is dimethyl ether, then acetone, okay, then it is ethyl alcohol, and finally, okay, it is water. So in this graph you can clearly see the value. Okay, it is okay, but one change. Okay, vapor pressure will increase with time, with temperature, so it will be like this. Sorry, okay, it will be like this, because vapor pressure will increase with temperature. Okay, so here it is, I told you dimethyl ether. Okay, then it is acetone, it is ethyl alcohol, and it is water. So from this graph we can say vapor pressure of dimethyl ether is maximum among these four. Vapor pressure of dimethyl ether is maximum, and vapor pressure of water is minimum. Or we can say, just write it, okay, then it will be more clear. We can say vapor pressure of dimethyl ether is maximum. Okay, I am just discussing about this graph. Okay, so vapor pressure of dimethyl ether is maximum means what? Means intermolecular forces of attraction between particles of dimethyl ether is weakest among these four, and that's why okay, its vapor pressure is maximum. So we will say, or intermolecular force of attraction of dimethyl ether is weakest. Okay, we have just discussed, if intermolecular force of attraction is weakest, means evaporation will take place up to great extent, and if evaporation will take place up to great extent, then more vapor will form, and if more vapor will form, then vapor pressure exerted will be more. So we can say, okay, if vapor pressure of dimethyl is maximum, dimethyl ether is maximum, then intermolecular force of attraction of dimethyl ether, okay, will be minimum or is weakest among these four. And second thing we can say, vapor pressure of water is minimum among these four. So we can say, so or therefore among these four intermolecular force of attraction force of attraction in water is maximum. Getting this? Okay. Now come to second factor which affects vapor pressure, okay, of a pure liquid, and it is temperature. So second factor is temperature. So we will say, as the temperature increases, the average kinetic energy of the liquid increases. Okay, as the temperature increases, the average kinetic energy of the liquid increases. Hence, rate of evaporation increases. Hence, rate of evaporation increases. Resulting in increased vapor pressure. Getting this? Very simple, very easy. Okay, as the temperature increases, the average kinetic energy of the liquid increases. Okay, average kinetic energy of the liquid increases because we are providing the temperature to the liquid. So average kinetic energy of the liquid will increase. Hence, the rate of evaporation will increase. Means liquid molecule will starts converting into vapors, their corresponding vapors. Okay, means rate of evaporation increases, and if rate of evaporation increases, means more of the vapors are forming, and if more of the vapors are forming, then vapor pressure will be more, so resulting in increased vapor pressure of the liquid. Okay, this is okay. This is given by Clausius. It is Clausius. Okay, Clap. Okay, Clausius-Clapeyron. Okay, this is given by Clausius-Clapeyron equation. What is this equation? You have read this in ionic equilibrium. Okay, and it is log P2 upon P1 is equal to delta H vaporization divided by 2.303 R T2 minus T1 divided by T1 into T2. This is Clausius-Clapeyron equation. Okay, and this indicates the effect of temperature on vapor pressure, where we will say P1 is pressure, okay, partial pressure, we will say it is partial pressure at temperature T1, and P2 is partial pressure at temperature T2, and R, you know, it is R, okay. PV is equal to nRT, ideal gas equation. This R is a constant, okay. And one more thing here, T2 is greater than T1. So this is temperature dependence of vapor pressure of a pure liquid, okay. Now come to vapor pressure of liquid solutions. It is only vapor pressure of pure liquid, it is not a solution. Only we are discussing about one component only here, okay. Up to this we have just discussed about vapor pressure of one component. Now we are going to discuss vapor pressure of two components, means it is going to be a liquid solution, okay. So write vapor pressure of liquid solution. Vapor pressure of liquid solution, okay. Liquid solutions means solvent will be liquid, and solute will be, maybe it is gas, maybe it is liquid, and maybe it is solid. Getting this? It is liquid solution. Liquid solution means gas dissolved in liquid, or liquid dissolved in liquid, or solid dissolved in liquid, okay. This will form liquid solution. We have discussed gas dissolved in liquid, okay, Henry law. So we are not going to discuss this, okay. We will be discussing liquid solution and solid dissolved in liquid solution. Getting this now? Okay. So put heading vapor pressure of liquid solution. Vapor pressure of liquid solution. Okay. So suppose two components A, say it is solvent, and B, say it is solute, okay. We are going to discuss binary solution only, okay. We are going to discuss binary solution only. So we have just supposed two components means the solution is binary. So say first component is A, which is solvent, and second component is B, which is solute, okay. Then say PA be the partial pressure, PA be the partial vapor pressure of A, and PB be the partial vapor pressure of B. Then according to Dalton's law, according to Dalton's law, total pressure P total will be PA plus PB. Where this P total is, it is total vapor pressure. It is total vapor pressure of solution. This P total is total vapor pressure of solution. This PA is partial vapor pressure. We have written it here, na? This PA is partial vapor pressure of A, PB is partial vapor pressure of B. Getting this? Okay. And one more thing, these partial vapor pressure are directly proportional to their mole fraction. These partial vapor pressure that is PA and PB are directly proportional to their mole fraction. In solution, or their mole fraction, write it, that is XA and XB. Okay, so it is vapor pressure of liquid solution. Now we are going to discuss one important concept, that is Raoult's law. Okay, so just write Raoult's law. It is Raoult's law. In 1886, a French scientist Raoult gave a relationship between vapor pressure of a volatile component and its mole fraction. Okay. In 1886, a French scientist Raoult gave a relationship between vapor pressure of a volatile component. Okay, just remember this, volatile component. Okay, vapor pressure of a volatile component and its mole fraction. Okay, this is known as Raoult's law. This is known as simply Raoult's law. Okay, so come to the statement. Statement of Raoult's law. Okay, what is Raoult's law? The vapor pressure the vapor pressure of a volatile component at a given temperature is directly proportional to its mole fraction in the solution. Getting this? Just go through the statement. Okay, what is statement? It is the vapor pressure of a volatile component present in a solution is directly proportional to the mole fraction of that component, okay, at a given temperature. Or here we can say, for better understanding, we can write here the partial vapor pressure. Because it is going to be a solution, so in a solution different components are present there, so we will be using partial vapor pressure. So the partial vapor pressure of a volatile component at a given temperature is directly proportional to its mole fraction in the solution. That is, partial vapor pressure of volatile component is directly proportional to its mole fraction. Okay, let the component be A, and PA be its partial vapor pressure. Okay, and PA be its partial vapor pressure. Then we will say this PA means partial vapor pressure of A is directly proportional to mole fraction. Say it is XA. Mole fraction is denoted by X. So mole fraction of A will be XA. Okay, we will say PA is directly proportional to XA. Getting this? Where PA is partial vapor pressure of volatile component. Okay, it is volatile component. Okay, and it is directly proportional to its mole fraction. Or we will say, just remove proportionality constant, it will be PA equals to, okay, here say one constant K into XA, where K is the proportionality constant, Getting this? So we have obtained PA is equal to K into XA. Okay, say this is equation 1. Okay, now suppose there is only one component present. Suppose there is only one component present. I have told you XA plus XB is equal to 1. Do you remember? Sum of mole fractions of all the component is unity. Okay, just try to remember, I have told you earlier, sum of mole fractions of all components, say there are two components A and B, so sum of mole fraction of component A and component B will be equal to 1. I have told you. Okay, and I have supposed here, suppose there is only one component, suppose there is only one component, say this component is A, means B is not present there, so we will say XA plus, in place of XB it is 0 because it is not present here, so XA plus 0 is equal to 1, or we will say XA is equal to 1. XA is equal to 1. Getting this or not? In mole fraction I have told you, mole fraction means sum of mole fractions of all components is 1. So if two components are there, A and B, then mole fraction of A plus mole fraction of B is equal to 1. And here we are supposing only one component is present, means one is absent. So one component A is present, so B is absent, so in place of B write here 0, means XA plus 0 is equal to 1, so we will say XA is equal to 1. So we can put XA is equal to 1 in equation 1. So putting, or better you write these things here, okay, for your better understanding, write here XA plus XB is equal to 1, so write here XA plus, in place of XB 0 is equal to 1, or XA is equal to 1. Okay, now write, putting XA is equal to 1, putting XA is equal to 1 in equation 1. Okay, so it will give you PA is equal to K into 1, or we will say PA0 is equal to K. Now don't get confused. Okay, put here XA to be 1, so it will be PA is equal to K into 1. Okay, means only one component is present here, means if only one component is present here, means the component is pure, the component is pure. Okay, and I named okay the pressure, vapor pressure of the pure component to be PA0. So then don't get confused, it is PA will be equal to K into 1. So if only one component is present, means only A is there, so only A is there means that is present in pure form. So if it is present in pure form, then we will say it is K is equal to its vapor pressure in its pure form. So I simply named this as PA0. So right here PA0 is vapor pressure of liquid in its pure form, in its pure form. Okay, and say this is equation 2, say this is equation 2. Okay, now what to do? Put the value of K in equation 1. Okay, so I am going to rub. So putting value of K equals to PA0 in equation 1, then it will be PA is equal to K is PA0 into XA Okay, and just enclose this in a box. It is very important. Now we can redefine Raoult's law. We can redefine Raoult's law. How? Simply write here Raoult's law can also be defined as the partial pressure of a component, the partial vapor pressure of a component is equal to partial pressure of the component in its pure form, partial pressure of the component in its pure form multiplied by its mole fraction, present in the solution. Getting this? Raoult's law may be redefined or stated in other words as the partial vapor pressure of a component, PA, partial vapor pressure of component A. Okay, the partial vapor pressure of a component is equal to partial vapor pressure, it is vapor, partial vapor pressure of the component in its pure form. I told you PA0 is partial vapor pressure of the component in its pure form multiplied by its mole fraction present in the solution. Getting this? So this is Raoult law. Okay, note it. Then if there is two components, present in a solution, if there is two components present in a solution A and B, and their partial vapor pressure B, if there is two components present in a solution A and B and their partial vapor pressure is PA and PB. Getting this? PA and PB. Then according to Raoult's law, Raoult's law, we can say, then according to Raoult's law, we can say this PA is equal to PA0 into XA, and this PB is equal to PB0 into XB. Getting this or not? Okay, just go through it. Partial vapor pressure of a component, partial vapor pressure of A, partial vapor pressure of B is equal to, partial vapor pressure of a component is equal to vapor pressure of the component in its pure form, here it is P0, PA0, here it is PB0, multiplied by its mole fraction in the solution, here it is XA, here it is XP. So we can write this. Okay, now total pressure will be equal to P and PAB. Okay, total pressure we will say now P total will be equal to PA plus PB, or PA is PA0 XA plus PB is PB0 XB. Okay, again we know XA plus XB is equal to 1, mole fraction, sum of mole fractions of all components is equal to 1, or we can say, we can write XA is equal to 1 minus XB. We can write XA is equal to 1 minus XB. So we will say it is PA0, in place of XA write 1 minus XB plus PB0 XB. Okay, so it will become PA0 minus PA0 XB plus PB0 XB, or we will say PA0, here XB will be common. Okay, so right here plus XB, it will be PB0 minus PA0, it is P total. So note down this. So P total is equal to PA0 plus XB into PB0 minus PA0. Okay, is it clear? Okay, now we can also write XB is equal to 1 minus XA. We can also write XB is equal to 1 minus XA from here. So once we will write this, then we will be writing the formula. So up to this it is okay. So write this. P total is equal to PA0 XA plus PB0 XB. Okay, here we wrote in place of, this time we are going to write, okay, in place of XB we are going to write 1 minus XA. So it will be equal to PA0 XA plus PB0 1 minus XA. Okay, so it will be equal to PA0 XA PA0 XA plus PB0 minus PB0 XA. Okay. PA0 XA, okay, plus PB0 XB, okay, PA0 X0 plus PB 1 minus XA, okay. So PA0 XA plus PB0 minus, okay. So we will write here PB0, okay, plus XA is common this time, so plus XA, and it will be PA0 minus PB0, okay, it is P total. So it will be P total is equal to PB0 plus XA, okay, into PA0 minus PB0. Okay, we have two formula. Okay, so based upon this we will be solving numericals. Okay, now come to Raoult's law as a special case of Henry's law. So it is Raoult's law as a special case of Henry's law. Okay. So what is Raoult's law? At first write Raoult's law. We know according to Raoult's law, suppose it is PA, so it will be equal to PA0 XA, and according to Henry's law, PA is equal to KH into XA. Say it is equation 1, it is equation. So on comparing equation, on comparing equation 1 and 2, we will say PA is equal to PA, XA is equal to XA, PA both are equal, XA both are equal. So if this PA0 will become equal to KH, if PA0 will become equal to KH, then we will say Raoult law, okay, Raoult law, then we will say Raoult's law as a special case of Henry's law. Getting this? Raoult's law means PA is equal to PA0, Henry's law, PA is equal to KH into XA. Henry gave the law first, so we will say, okay, Raoult law is a special case of Henry's law. Raoult law is a special case of Henry's law when PA0 will become equal to KH. Okay. Okay, thank you. We will be discussing vapor pressure of a liquid solution having a non-volatile solute and volatile solvent. Then we will be discussing ideal and non-ideal solution. Okay, thank you.